You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do? Doctor,
We're here back at Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, one of my Canadian friends asked, what do I think about what's going on with Trump in Canada? And, I was like, I really didn't care much, and I didn't even know my friend was Canadian. So I was like, oh, that's why you're interested in it. It's very comical, the back and forth between Canada and Trump on the superficial level. On the deeper level, some things are moving. There's some seismic activity there. And Trump has claimed that, I believe, we lost $60 billion to Canada last year. And there's been a lot of back and forth on how, we provide their defense. We support them significantly, economically. I like Canada. I love going to Canada. Canada's beautiful. But lately there's been some, shall we say, drama as it pertains to the wildfires, emitting pollution, the back and forth between them and Trump. Trump saying that, look, with as much money as we give you and as much, we do for you, including protecting you through NORAD, then, you might as well be a state. Even though, as I said before, if Canada becomes a state, they probably would go Democrat and then give 2 more senators to the Democratic side. So that really wouldn't help Trump. But Trump has been the president that has kind of teased out and displayed to the public, where he thinks we're being screwed over and overspending when, or taken advantage of. And so he feels that America is being taken advantage of by Canada and that they might as well be a state for the amount of money we give them. With the tariffs, it was very, shocking to hear that what we had to pay to other countries was not the same as what they were paying to us. The reciprocal tariffs, Trump said he couldn't even do reciprocal because we can't charge 80% like what I think, was it Taiwan? No, I forget who was charging us 80% tariffs. And when you saw some of these astronomical numbers, you're like, okay. But we don't see tariffs. We don't see what goes on in Canada. What we have, though, seen is what happens with our medical costs and our prescription costs. And the one thing Americans have witnessed is we're paying more for drugs in other countries. And so one thing I do commend Trump on doing is going to these pharmaceutical companies. No. We're not going to pay more than Canada. We're not going to pay more than Mexico. We're not going to pay more than the UK. You charge us what you're charging other developed countries. We're done with paying more. And that was one thing I could never explain. The only answer I had when people say, why are drugs more expensive in America than other countries, was because they could get the money out of us. And so, good for this administration to finally stop that. Well, riding that momentum, he is now, showing the American public where he thinks America's getting screwed. I don't want us to be anti-Canada. I like Canada a lot. I've been there a lot. I love the people. Many of them were my patients because their healthcare system was so screwed up. I mean, I've taken care of thousands of Canadians because they couldn't get their healthcare on time in Canada. So I feel very connected to Canada and Canadians. But the next thing is Trump is getting so frustrated with where things are going and tariff talks that now he's considering renaming Lake Ontario Lake America. Now, I don't truly believe that this guy is just, I'm just going to do whatever the heck I want. I'm going to make, I think this is a distraction. And you're going to see now the news and the pundits and everybody go after this Lake America thing. I'm telling you now, something's going to go on with Iran or Putin. Something is going to go on with the foreign policy. And he's going to distract us with the, you know what? I think we need, let me see if I have his direct quote on him wanting to rename Lake America. I don't know if I have his direct quote. Oh yeah, he's given it serious consideration. And he has a Great Lake with the official Lake Ontario crossed out, and in its place, Lake America. You know, even though I do believe that one thing Trump is about this administration is to cement milestones and major moves that he did, so it doesn't get erased, online and on Google and so calling it Gulf of America, making, doing the Trump accounts. These are things that are very, very hard then to miss, shall we say, represent, because they're there. You got the Trump accounts, you got but the Lake America versus Lake Ontario. Personally, I don't know how these are. I always thought it was whoever discovered the body of water or the land. Personally, whoever has more surface area touch that body of water is probably the one that gets to name it. It would be nice to have a neutral name, but I get that the renaming of it and America First. This is something that he wants to make as his signature move. But I'm telling you, my spidey sense is this is a distraction because there's going to be some movement. And one thing Trump has done, and he showed us this with his first term, is when he wants the media office back and to get stuff done, he feeds the piranhas. Let them all move over there and do whatever, so he gets something done. So do I take this? Yeah, we should take what's happening between Canada and America seriously. And if we are really spending billions of dollars on Canada and not getting anything out of it, that is a concern. We do need to kind of reevaluate, because Canada is a very rich country. They shouldn't need that much from us. But in terms of the lake, I don't care. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. All right,
this is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years, stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So Hasan Piker back in the news. Oh my gosh, this guy. He basically, again, going after Israel, going after Jews, supporting Israel. You just to do a quick history lesson, okay? Right? When my family had to flee Russia in the early 1900s, they were killing Jews. They escaped to Romania, slowly made their way over to Germany and Austria, only to then later face the wrath of the Nazis. They wanted to come to America. But at the time, there was a very big isolationist movement, and ships were being turned back. So the only place they could go was at the time it was called Palestine, known as Israel, but until it became a state in 1948, known as Israel, or officially recognized at the time as Palestine. And because of the massive death toll that Jews and Christians and the LGBTQ AI plus community and gypsies and so many others, 12 million slaughtered, 6 million of whom were Jews, Israel became a state, and the Palestinians also given a homeland at the time. I think it was even larger than what was given to Israel, but they rejected it. But there was a home for those that needed a place of refuge in case anything like that ever happened again. The support of Israel, with the exception of, select few in the Middle East, was very popularly supported because there needed to be a place where Jews could feel safe. Finally, not to mention individuals. Like I said, the LGBTQIA plus community can be who they are in Israel, where they can't in many other areas around there. So it's a safe haven. Catholics, Mormons, Jews, people all over the world within Israel. Yet, this is what Hasan Piker feels. Go ahead.
And you want to know why? Because people don't fuck with Israel any longer. And if Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews.
So he is suggesting that Jews rethink their support of Israel and that we are being targeted because we want to preserve the homeland and the religious artifacts and the history that's there in Bethlehem, Nazareth, River Jordan, Tiberias, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Masada, Tel Aviv, Jaffa. So he is, in essence, validating why Jews, right, may be targeted. And that's, we see what he's doing. And it's absolutely disgusting. One, anybody who doesn't recognize that anti-Semitism is never justified, that you can never give an excuse. So you're telling me that if a black man supports Israel, he's going to be targeted. And you're going to completely ignore the fact that it could be racism, underlying hate that people have, that who are psychotic. This is what, if I had a time capsule and I went back to early 1930s Germany and then mid 30s and followed the progression of things, this is some of the BS that was being touted. And it's frightening that, one, Hasan Piker has the following that he does, And two, that our United States political candidates are standing on stages with him. Now, somebody could say, but you know what, Dr. Dahlia, Israel's controversial, so maybe he's just saying that if you support something controversial, you are, well, okay, abortion's controversial. Does that mean somebody needs violence against them? Or that it's justified? The thing is having had family who was slaughtered, and I don't have a big family. When I do the Ancestry and Me or 23 and Me, whatever, I don't have a lot of fourth, fifth cousins once removed. We don't have a lot of family. They were murdered. And the family I have, thank God, half of which, the only reason why I'm here is my dad's side of the family was able to escape to Israel during the Holocaust. So grateful that happened. So you bet your ass I don't want anything happening to Israel. And the importance of Israel being there as a beacon of freedom, and by the way, is also a beacon of freedom for Muslims. There's 20% of the Israeli population at least are Muslim. And there's a narrative of, well, they're going around, they're killing people, and they're genociding is false. Sadly, are they involved in skirmishes with terrorists? Sadly, are there some innocent people getting hurt in between the back and forth between Hamas and Israel or Hezbollah and Israel? Yes, that can happen, and it's horrible. We don't want to see any innocent civilians get in the crossfire. Have terrorists put their innocent civilians purposely as a shield? Yes. And that's what terrorists do. And to work around that, huge challenge. If Israel didn't have to be mindful of protecting innocent civilians, those hostages would have gotten home way sooner. But they couldn't go in there torch earth because Hamas was hiding behind schools, hiding behind hospitals. You saw that MRI machine unused with taped up automatic rifles behind it. They're using hospitals as their forts. And it's frightening that the world allows these terrorists like Hamas and Hezbollah to do this BS. But here's Hasan Piker saying, well, American Jews, if they're going to support Israel, we have to support Israel. Where do we go when these individuals who you're kind of trying to call to arms come after us? So the Jews had their guns taken away. People ask, Dr. Dahlia, I don't understand that. Okay, yeah, I mean, why didn't the Jews fight back? How did 6 million get marched to their deaths? Wasn't that simple? Second Amendment rights that exist in America were very flimsy in other countries, especially Germany and Austria. Our possessions were taken away in a heartbeat. And all the Nazis had to do is put a gun to your child's head and you surrender. Now, we Jews have had some discussions, okay, amongst ourselves since then. And anybody touches my child's head, they get a bullet in theirs. You're not going to threaten me because we know what the end game is. You're going to kill us. Now, back then, people thought you did go to a work camp. In fact, 2 of my relatives survived Dachau. Dachau was one of the first concentration camps. They called it a work camp, even though I couldn't count the number of murders that happened there. They were sent there early on. I think it was 36 or 37. I have to double check. And I remember going there with my son going, we had family members here. We're probably standing where those family members were. But they were able to get out of Dachau. And I asked the family, how the hell did that happen? Well, because one of the younger relatives had fled to the UK and knew somebody in the UK who could get visas and got them out before they started locking things up and not allowing people to leave these camps. So I have relatives, the only two. And that's why I'm here today. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We're back on the Dr. Dolly show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So making health headlines is 2 people in Pennsylvania have died from the measles. We don't have a lot of information on who these 2 individuals were, except they were not vaccinated for measles. This is according to the Department of Health. These are the first U.S. deaths from measles reported in 2026 and the first ever in Pennsylvania in the last 35 years. Secretary of Health Dr. Deborah Bogan said, "My deepest sympathies are with the loved ones who are facing this unimaginable loss." Measles can kill. It's rare. And there's a lot of questions as to what happened. All we know, according to CNN, is both people who died were residents of Lancaster County. Pennsylvania health officials said they are not releasing any additional details about them. Now, Pennsylvania has confirmed 393 measles cases in 28 counties so far in 2026. We have seen measles make a resurgence. The country has recorded more than 2,700 cases so far this year. Huge spike since 1991. And the disease was declared eliminated back in 2000, but more cases have been recorded in the past year and a half than there have been in previous 25 years. Experts think that the U.S. will lose its elimination status or recognition by the World Health Organization that measles is no longer transmitting regularly within a country. So what are symptoms of measles? So you got the fever, the cough, the runny nose, red watery eyes, and then the measles rash can follow a few days later, starts from the head, spreads down. The incubation period could be anywhere from a week to 3 weeks, and they could spread when somebody coughs or sneezes. The virus, according to CNN, can remain in the air and on surfaces for up to 2 hours after the person with infection leaves the area. And the death rate is anywhere from 1 to 3 people per 1,000 cases. How? Well, it could cause pneumonia and brain swelling, encephalitis, meningitis. So I'd like to know what happened with these individuals. It helps that we're being told these were unvaccinated individuals, because most of the news we're getting with these measles cases is they say many of them are unvaccinated. And so my question is, well, that is suggesting some are vaccinated. And if we are having measles happen in vaccinated individuals, do we need to be considering a booster for measles? This is one of the reasons why Trump wants to separate the MMR. If somebody doesn't want to get the full MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, they could just get their measles booster with just the measles. But pharmaceutical companies are a little reluctant on that. And I know some parents might be reluctant because they're trying to minimize the number of shots as opposed to now taking the MMR and tricing it. But as I've always said, measles, mumps, rubella, these are not benign issues. Luckily, I never got it because I was vaccinated. The MMR vaccine, especially your 2 doses, make you 97% effective against measles. And so our MMR is usually given at year 1 and year 4. CNN is reporting that Pennsylvania health officials may be actually giving them to 6-month-olds as in light of the outbreak. And we do know that measles can cause encephalitis and can kill. We don't see a lot of it now because, as you know, it's because of vaccination. But we are seeing a lot of vaccine hesitancy, which we predicted was going to happen after the COVID vaccine debacle. And I know everybody's blaming RFK Jr., but RFK Jr. is actually trying to regain public trust on what we should be doing in terms of vaccines and preventing illness. I know a lot of people don't see it that way, but when the average person tells me, they don't, since 2020 and 2021, when I say go to the CDC website, they're like, well, to heck with that. They told us, to do the mask mandate. They told us to do this. They told us, that if you got the vaccine, you wouldn't get COVID and you wouldn't spread COVID. We need to get to me, the CDC is supposed to be our go-to. And they give a lot of good information. But if nobody's going to believe it because of all the BS that happened during the Biden administration, we got a problem. Now, if parents feel that one of the, shall we say, vaccine recommendations is not in their child's best interest, they're going to say to hell with the rest of the vaccines. And so we are now in a very precarious position because we saw what happened during the Biden years and how people looked at and how that administration handled the vaccine mandate. When pregnant women in their 3rd trimester is like, do I really need to get the vaccine, please? And the restaurant that one woman was working at fired her because she wouldn't get the vaccine, and we fire nurses, for not getting the vaccine, even though we just months before applauded them for being there on the front line, helping people save people's lives during COVID. Many people thought that, okay, the big pharma and government are in cahoots. Personally, I think there's a lot of merit in the COVID vaccine. I do believe the COVID vaccine saved lives. I just don't believe we should have mandated it. And so now you're having, parents say, I'm going to just take a step back from it all. In addition, nobody has told parents why autism rates have skyrocketed. Even though we don't believe that autism itself is caused by vaccines, parents are fearing neurological side effects that may look autistic-like. And they're so afraid of their child getting autism, they're telling me, I don't care if my kid then gets measles. And I can't tell them, guys, this is why we're having the autism. It's not the vaccines, it's this. Why? Because we still haven't figured it out. Now, just because we haven't figured it out doesn't mean it's our vaccines. But until we have a source and an explanation, parents are going to look at what are we doing different with our kids than we did 20, 30, 40 years ago. They're going to look at cell phones. They're going to look at the increased number of vaccines. And so we've had doctors and public health officials go, well, how do you prove to people that it's not the vaccines? Well, one scientific experiment that we're actually starting to see states do, like Florida and other states, is, well, let's look at the population if we don't mandate as many vaccines. And if we can't necessarily take a kid to kids and say, we're going to vaccinate you, we're going to not vaccinate you, and see who gets issues and side effects. Can't do that. But what they can do is retrospectively look back. And I'm not saying the governments want groups of unvaccinated individuals. You do have a lot of groups out there that are unvaccinated. And you can look at, what is the prevalence of things in terms of infectious disease, in terms of diverse disorders, etc. But the one thing that they're going to be collecting data on is if they do roll back some of the mandates. One, what are patients choosing? So like, for example, in Florida, there may be a proposed change that could remove 4 vaccines from the state's school entry requirements. There's a public comment period that opened on August 24th and is running through September 14th in Florida as they're looking at, do they need to require students before school to get the chickenpox vaccine, to get hepatitis B, to get Hib or meningococcal disease? Now, Hib, chickenpox, and meningitis vaccines are recommended as required under HHS of the Trump administration. But Florida is looking at, well, they'll still be available to parents, but we just won't require that. And let's see what parents want to do. So we'll see. I know decreasing vaccine mandates is something that seems to be popular, but with public health, we still need to make sure we're not making any wrong decisions. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, we knew this would happen, and we did this to ourselves. But I was at a restaurant, and I heard somebody on a phone, and they go, "Are you a real person?" "You are." "You don't sound like a real person. Are you a real person?" And this went on for about 5-10 minutes. And I've even seen my husband do that, where he has to call, the home warranty company because we had an issue again with our water heater. It's like, am I talking to a human? And I'm like, is their answer yes? How do you know that's still not AI? Then my husband shows me a couple days ago, look at this amazing picture. I've never seen an animal look so good. I go, it's fake. What are you talking about? That's probably AI. And then, kids tell my husband, yeah, that's probably AI, Dad. Yeah, that's fake. What isn't? I mean, and I'm seeing this, reluctancy. And in fact, it's interesting because now I'm being asked if I'm real. Call back a patient. I go, hi, this is Dr. Dahlia Wax. I work for a telemedicine company. They're like, are you really? Yes, I am. Are you a bot? No, I'm not. You're not a bot? Can you say that twice? Yeah, I'm not a bot. I'm not a bot. Okay, I'm human. Can I help you? I need to know you're human. It's okay. I get that. Would you like to do a video call? And then you get to see me. I'll warn you. You hope you're not eating. Not a lot to see here. But would that make you feel more comfortable? Okay, you sound human now. But I was actually flattered because I don't really have the most, shall we say, professional, linguistic, executive functioning that the average, very highly trained physician has. So for them to think that AI could possibly make something that sounds like me was pretty flattering. As opposed to, like I usually talk. So if the picture you're looking at is fake, the news story, these reels, I'm getting a little sad because I really love looking at the, old school New York City and, what England looked like in 1900. You get these videos. And the Facebook algorithm learned that I like to see historical pictures and I like to see, the digitation of, but now I'm looking at this going, somebody is making these with AI. How do I know those are real humans? And by the time they make it all smooth or whatever, I could be looking at a fake video. So where we are now in society is we are assuming something is fake before it's real. And it wasn't a big step for us because look at all the misinformation we've had the last few years. Nobody trusts anything. This is one of the reasons why the podcast business exploded, because people needed to find something they connected with and believed in. And it's everybody and their mother is out there, and hopefully you'll find somebody that you feel like is, giving you the real scoop and the real, the nitty gritty of what you want to know. But online, I don't trust it. Now that I know that you could use AI for emails, I have never used AI in an email. I might have used the spell check because I don't spell well. But my emails are my own. Now, maybe I should, because I should start to sound a little bit more. I just did a bunch of press releases for a new station I'm moving to September 1. But I did it all myself because this is how I speak. And I want people to think it's authentic and genuine. Now I'm looking at emails, AI written, fake. I'm looking at resumes. People are asking me to look at the resume and update it and make it. And I'm like, assiduousness. What? You're using assiduousness. What does that mean? Oh, I don't know. Did you write that or did AI? Everything is fake. It's just fake. And I'm not paranoid about it. But if I can't convince a patient that I'm human, that's a problem. They want 911 operators now to be AI. We've had some screw ups, but the average 911 operator is a godsend. They are an angel from heaven. Okay, we want to keep those people. But due to understaffing, due to a couple of them messing up, now there's this big push to have them AI. And I don't think AI is going to pick up on the nuances. if you are in a building and somebody is there, it's a mass shooting, and you're trying to notify 911, but you're not doing the typical, I need CPR, he collapsed, he this, somebody got shot. You're not talking like that, but you're like, they're here, they're next to us, they're here. AI might not pick up on the fastidiousness or the severity of the situation, the gravity of the situation. So as we are using more and more AI, the public is realizing that they're not getting humans, and whatever they're looking at that might have been portrayed as humanly made isn't. Now, most likely the meal you're eating is made by a human until robots do that. But, well, where do we go with this? Now, with teachers, and I've taught in various different, whether it's Sunday school, whether it's public speaking, whether it's medical school, the way you teach is you connect with the student. You could have a PhD, you could have an MD, you could have a DO, you could have a DC, you could have as many credentials. NP, wonderful. But if you can't connect with somebody, they're not going to learn. Is AI connecting? This is why these students aren't learning. I need somebody to go, look, this is why this works. You know how many professors, PhDs, taught me the Krebs cycle in biochem? Do I remember the Krebs cycle? No, I don't. I know it has to do with our ATP and our metabolism, but it takes somebody to go, look, this is how you look at it. And the tutors, I actually found to be some of the best adjuncts for my medical students just throughout, and I tutored in school because I could say, look, let's connect this to your brain. How do we get you to absorb this? Because if you just read the words, it's not going to work. People love books and they really envelop. One of my sons is really an avid reader. He has now really, really taken on a lot of books, and the other one is starting to too. And, when I, listen to my friends, I will get a book and read one too. And I like reading. I just don't have time for it, but I like it a lot. And when I read, I imagine you're using your creativity. You're using your brain. You're picturing things. You're enveloping in it. And that's not how things are presented now. You just look it up online. It tells you, and then you go about your merry way. This is a problem. And if we have a society where nobody believes anything anybody says, even, you could text somebody. I caught my kid ask Siri to make a text to somebody. I'm like, just text yourself. Well, I don't want to mess it up. Nobody has faith in themselves, so they'd rather look fake than to do it right or themselves and be genuine. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.